Marketing firms and PR agencies get away with murder on a regular basis because they just do the same thing for everybody every single day. Now, if you're a small business or a medium sized business or a gigantic business, you've dealt with a marketing firm, you've dealt with a PR agency, and you know they sometimes deliver less than expected results. And the reason is very simple. The reason is everyone is doing the exact same thing. And it evolves even more when you tell someone you specialize in, let's say, the automotive industry, or you specialize in water treatment, or you specialize in healthcare, or whatever. The minute you hear that they specialize in something, that just means they've done so many of them that it doesn't really matter what you think they need to do. And that's the scariest thing when it comes to this sort of work, because it's all about creativity. It's all about trying to stand out amongst the crowd. And if you're working with an agency that all they do is quote unquote specialize in a certain industry, then you're getting the same thing everyone else is getting. And therefore you're getting mediocrity at best. Now, it sounds difficult to understand because, well, they're a specialist. This is what they do every single day. Yeah, that's exactly the problem, is that they've done something once, it worked once, they continue to do it, they get more clients doing that exact same thing. So what ends up happening is you overdo the market. And in an area where you got 2 seconds to scroll, getting someone's attention, and all you see are 15 dental pictures of the exact same thing, yeah, you failed. You have failed miserably, because now everything you do is the same like everyone else. And you're not creative anymore, you're not unique anymore, you definitely don't stand out as an innovator. So now what have you become? You've basically paid for mediocrity. And that is the craziest phenomenon that I see happening on a regular basis these days. It doesn't matter where I go across Canada. It makes no difference. I always sit down with a client, I always talk to them, they tell me they're unsatisfied with their current provider, and then they tell me, well, they said they were specialists in this industry. How come they didn't deliver? And it just constantly perplexes me, because you know what? Yeah, like you would imagine it to be good. Like, why can't they keep going? Because the thing that's different now than any other time in history was, now you have to think. If you see somebody doing one thing, you actually are forced to do better. You're forced to do something that they're not doing. You're forced to do something that no one else has thought of. So by remaining stagnant, your results become worse, your engagements become less, and you end up, unfortunately, plain Jane. Good old vanilla. And there's nothing wrong with vanilla. But the problem is you're paying for 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins. You're paying for fully engaged, millions of leads, tons of clients, letting everyone know your story, and yet ultimately your story will never get past the first thumbnail. No one's going to click on the image. No one's going to care. And that's very dangerous. Now, what you can do to avoid this is to see what your competition is actually doing. It's very simple. See what everybody's doing in your industry, right? These days, everyone's on Instagram, everybody's on TikTok, and you can see what they're doing. And if what you're doing looks exactly the same like what the other person is doing, then you know you're in a current coast, right? You're basically just riding that wave. And by riding that wave, you have to realize that any minute now, your competitor can become better than you. Or vice versa. You can actually have a moment where you exceed, but it's just luck at this point, because everyone's just doing the exact same. Everybody's doing these funny jokes, everybody's doing these dances, everybody's doing cool transitions, but nothing that stands out. And sure, if you're in the restaurant business, as an example, you want your food to look great, you want people to come in, you want people to be hungry. But what's that next trend? What's that thing that's going to get everyone excited to come in? So if you're not forward thinking, you're not thinking about what's going to happen in the future, you're not thinking about how you're going to move to that next level, well then you're not doing anything. You're just copying everybody. But everyone is always copying somebody, right? You can see on Instagram all the time, right? It's this thing. Get this thing before it trends, right? Like for trending audio, as an example, they always tell you, use this trend before everyone else does. Blast off with this trend. And yeah. You might get lucky. You might find a trend before one of these quote unquote trendsetters find the trend. You might use it and hey, you know what? You went viral for a minute and you could never do it again. And that's the sad reality of it. It's become a world where creativity is actually copycatting, and copycatting is actually creativity. And you tell that to a 3-year-old, hey, show me your most creative thing. And if he just looks to the guy next to him and just does the exact same thing he did, you would know for sure this is plagiarism, this is copycat. Come on, man, don't look at his sheet. So many things you would say to an infant. But when you're going to the thousands and $1 million agencies, that's what's actually happening. And it's a scary thing because nobody notices. And people are complacent. People are happy with this. That's the thing that boggles my mind, is that most people are actually satisfied with working with these sort of agencies because they've boasted themselves in such a position that, hey, of course, let me do this. They're the best. Or are they just really good salespeople? Did they just happen to knock on your door at the exact same time? So if there's any takeaway from this, right, you got to really focus on being great, right? If you believe you're a brand that's unique, that's different, that's exceptional, then make sure you find somebody that also believes that about you. Make sure you find someone that cares just as much as you do about yourself as they would care about you. Because the opposite is, okay, you're really cool as an individual, as a business, but me as your agency, I'm actually just a copycat agency. I just copy what everybody else is doing. Although I'm a specialist in making incredible restaurant videos. Or what makes it so incredible? We have hundreds of restaurant clients, okay? That's great. And what makes you guys so great? Well, we have figured out the secrets, okay? And what is the secret? We make people laugh before they eat, okay? Is this the same technique you use for every single one of your clients? Yeah, absolutely. This is what we do. Every one of our clients, they're very successful because of this. And you see the problem. You don't stand out anymore. If everybody's doing that exact same video, then ultimately everyone's gonna get bored of it. It might be a trend for a week, it might be a trend for a month. Hell, it might be a trend for 4 months, 5 months, maybe even a year. But if you keep seeing the same videos over and over and over and over and over again, what's the odds of anyone liking them after that? Unless it's so creative, so entertaining, so beneficial, that you're like, wow, this I felt. This deserves my comment. This deserves a share. So if you're unable to create that for yourself or create that for others, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You need help. And if you really, really want help, maybe I'll help you out.